All right, so pretty exciting day. Today might be the day that the Miata actually drives for the first time. Got the plug wires in, those need to be done, and then more importantly, the clutch master and slave. And once those are installed, be able to see if this thing will drive. So let's dig right into it. All right, new plug wires on. That's about as easy as it gets. Cylinder 1's going to be in the front, cylinder 4 is going to be in the back. They're labeled here on the coil pack mount. So you see it goes 4, 1, 2, 3. Shortest, then the next one, then the next one. Pretty easy. No need to keep track when you're ripping stuff off and putting it back on these cars. So that is pretty nice. Let's give her a start, see if she runs a little bit smoother. Oh yeah, much better. All right, so we have everything laid out here. We have the new clutch master, the new clutch slave, the push rod that goes inside the clutch slave, and then the old clutch line. No reason we can't reuse this line. So I'm just checking to make sure there's no debris, pitting or corrosion down at the end, because that's actually where it's going to seal. I don't know if you can see that, but that surface mates to that surface. So those are the two surfaces that are crucial. You don't want to use thread locker or Teflon tape or anything like that. It's just not necessary. So, and this side's a little odd. They have this rubber sheath, so you can't actually get the line wrench over. So don't ever use an open-ended wrench on clutch or brake lines. Try not to use them if at all possible, honestly. So I'm assembling all this on the bench to perform what is known as a bench bleed. I'll gravity bleed this first, so I'll leave the master up here on the workbench, put the slave down on the ground, and just open up the bleeder, let the fluid come out naturally, and then what we'll do is we'll bench bleed any air bubbles that might get trapped. I'll show you how to do that too. So we'll fill this with fluid. Absolutely never use open brake fluid unless it's on a 30-year-old Miata and you just don't care and it's for the clutch. In this situation, it's fine. All right, so we have the master cylinder bolted to the bench here, and the bleeder is open. Nothing's coming out, just on its own, so we'll just give it a little help. Choose your finger or whatever. Once you get a nice steady drip like that, we'll just close it off. All right, I used to have a clear hose for doing this, but I don't know what happened to it. So a piece of vacuum line will work. It doesn't really matter so long as it's got a good fit on the bleed nipple here. So what you're doing is you're actually closing the system. So as we press on the master cylinder, it wants to push fluid and air into the slave. And what we're doing is we're putting the hose on the highest point in the slave, so the air will go here. That air will then get forced down into the fluid reservoir on the master, come up as bubbles. When you release the master cylinder, it's gonna pull fluid back in, so it won't fill it back full of air. And you don't have to do that thing where you sit there and press on the pedal a bunch and bleed it. And usually it's good to go if you do this. You can literally just put it right on the car, and sometimes it needs a touch-up bleed, but usually not if you do it right and take your time. We're getting air out of the system. And then when I release, it pulls fluid in. So we'll do it again. And the fluid just went down a little bit. It's hard to tell. And you just want to do this until there's no more air in the system. So that's it. Once the air's bled out, leave this a little low. You don't want to fill it all the way to the top. You'll wait to check the level until it's on the car, and we'll get to cycle it a couple times. But you want to make sure this bleeder's tight, and then the system's sealed. And so long as you hold this upright and you don't spill any fluid, it should be good to go. You definitely want to make sure you cap it back off before transferring it over the vehicle. But yeah, let's go throw it on the car, and we'll see if we can make this thing go forward and backward. Alright, so you can actually get to the top bolt pretty darn easy just going through the wheel arch here. and then the bottom bolt you can just get from the bottom. So, all right, slave cylinder's on. Just need to tighten up the master, and then there's another bolt underneath for the clutch pedal that just secures that in place, and we'll double check fluid levels and check out the actuation. All right, so learning experience, that actuator rod goes in the other way. There's a hole in the clutch arm out of the transmission that fits in. So this whole assembly I had backwards, so I had to pull it off. But better news, you can just get to it all from the fender well here if you just turn the wheel all the way to the left. So yeah, let's try this again. So we should have pedal now. Yeah. So let's open up the garage and see if it drives. All right, maiden voyage, your first trip. Battery's back in, that charged up. Let's see if we got power. We do. Might have to do something about those lifters. Well, it goes into gear with the clutch in. Let's see. And we're back. This isn't going on the road. It's very illegal. So in its current state, it's also very, very unsafe. But it goes forward and backward, and that is a start. That is awesome. So that's what we wanted to accomplish. Well, there you have it. She runs and drives. That's super cool. It didn't really take that long or that much to get it up and running. It seems to run pretty good. Smokes pretty bad still, but haven't really warmed up or put any miles on it or anything like that. Still have the oil change to do. Still have a few other things to take care of. But for now, it's running and driving, and that's super cool. That was really the main goal. If you like the video, make sure you give it a like. And if you like what you see here on Ruckus Garage, make sure you subscribe. And hey, thanks for hanging out.